Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mickey C, aka TheLoLHounds, and I thought I would do a video on the first person to reach Challenger in the world. And that person is a player from the Oceania server who goes by the summoner name Stephen Moo, but is actually the pro player Phantiks, who was the mid laner for Direwolves who went to Worlds last season. This season he has retired and is now a coach for another team, Chiefs, from the OPL. So he's known to be one of the best players on the server and has in fact beaten Dopa or Apto in solo queue when he went over to Korea. Midbeast recently made a video about that, so I'll just put a link in the description if you want to check that out. But an interesting fact, he actually got Challenger literally an hour before someone from the Turkish server known as Chosen. So it was a pretty close race. So I thought I would make a video just going through the champions he has been using and abusing to get to Challengers so far, going through his runes, build and skill order for those who are interested. So he got to Challenger in 49 games with an 80% win rate, which is absolutely insane. I have been going through all the other servers and no one that started Plat 1 has such a high win rate. His three most played champions were Camille, Tristana and Ryze, so you can tell he has actually been playing a number of different positions as well. I guess as a coach he is just trying to get familiar with as many positions as possible. He also had to play as ADC in the first game of the OPL season, which actually started yesterday because his ADC was suspended. But anyway, without any further ado, let's get going. Let's start with Ryze, which I'm pretty sure is his signature champion. He played 5 games with Ryze with a 100% win rate. This is the rune page he took. His keystone being Unsealed Spellbook. Unsealed Spellbook seems to be getting more and more popular these days. Unsealed Spellbook allows you to take a defensive summoner spell early with Ryze. In this case, he always took heal. He didn't play against any assassins with Ryze, but I imagine he considers taking exhaust against them and possibly also takes cleanse against someone like Twisted Fate. Essentially on his first back he will switch over to teleport if he needs it, and then late game or mid to late game he will switch over to ghost, always keeping flash if possible. The other runes are pretty straightforward, you guys can just copy them if you want to. As for his skill order, he starts E, gets Q level 2 and W level 3. He then only gets 3 points in Q before maxing E, followed by Q and then W, and getting his ultimate whenever he can. I imagine he thinks that 3 points in Q is enough damage, and then he looks to max E because it is better for his wave clear during the mid game and also lowers the cooldown of his E. Maxing Q doesn't lower the cooldown at all, just gives more damage. As for his item build, he starts with the mana crystal. On his first back he always gets a tier. You should be doing this on Ryze no matter what. You want that tier as early as possible. He then builds into an abyssal mask, and this will usually be followed by Zhonya's. He may complete the Archangel staff before, however, if he gets enough gold for a needlessly large rod, which is a very expensive component to build. He didn't play Ryze into any AD champions, but he may get an earlier Seeker's Arm Guard in those particular matchups. The boots he goes with are Boots of Lucidity, upgrading them at around 10 minutes when he gets his tier 1 boots from the rune Magical Footwear. His remaining 2 items would be a Void Staff into something like a Death Cap, I imagine, maybe a Banshee's Veil in particular situations. Now onto his top lane, Camille. So Camille right now is probably the only decent bruiser fighter top lane champion in terms of the solo queue meta. Camille was his most played champion with a 70% win rate. So starting with his runes, he takes Arcane Comet as his keystone, Mana Flow Band to allow him to spam more abilities in lane, Transcendence and Scorch. As for his secondary tree, it would be Resolve, going with Iron Skin against AD champions and Mirror Shell against AP champions. You want to take Arcane Comet because it works really well with Camille's W. You start W level 1 and whenever Comet is off cooldown, you want to poke the enemy champion down with your W, slowing them and making it much harder for the enemy champion to dodge the Comet. This leads onto his skill order, which is pretty interesting as he actually maxes E first instead of Q. So I had a look at the win rates, and maxing E is actually much higher than maxing Q first. So I imagine a lot of top Camille players have been maxing E, so if you are still someone that maxes Q on Camille, you may want to give E max a try, see how it goes. So he starts W, gets E level 2, Q level 3, maxes E first, Q second, W third, and gets his ultimate whenever he can. Onto his item build, he starts a Doran's Blade. However, he did start a Doran Shield against a Jace, so he most likely starts that item against range poke champions in lanes such as Jace, Ken, and Teemo, maybe against a Yasuo as well. Those sort of champions. The most optimal first back is a Sheen. If you can't get a Sheen, get another Doran's Blade or a Longsword. Sheen will then build into Trinity Force, getting the Phage component second, followed by the Stinger. He then builds into a Tiamat, which leads into a Ravenous Hydra. His third and fourth items were Sterix Gauge and Guardian Angel. His last item will most likely be a situational tanky item, so items such as Spirit Visage or maybe a Randuin's. Maybe Adaptive Helm as well if they have a Cogmore or Cassiopeia. The boots will depend on the enemy team comp. If they have a lot of CC, go with the Merc Treads, and if not, you can look to get Ninja Tabbies. Finally, his second most played champion was Tristana. So if any of you guys have not been following League of Legends lately or have been under a rock, you may not know that Fleet Footwork, Overheal, Targon's Brace ADCs are currently the meta right now. One of the champions that abuse this is Tristana. A few others would be Vayne and Cogmore. Pretty much the strong scaling late game ADCs go with this item path or build, and it works really well with them. So if you are an ADC main and not abusing this, you may be falling behind during the new season. So this is the rune page he goes with on Tristana. Make sure you get that Fleet Footwork and make sure you get that Overheal, and then you can just copy the rest if you want to. His skill order is pretty standard on Tristana: max E, then Q, then W, and get the ultimate whenever you can. As for the build, you want to start with a Relic Shield. This is even better if your support also starts with a Relic Shield. So hopefully your support picks up one of the tanky supports that go with Relic Shield. As for the most optimal first back, you want to get a BF Sword. If you can get a BF Sword and upgrade Relic Shield to Targon's, then you are set for the game. But basically, once you get BF Sword and Targon's, you just want to go straight into that standard Tristana carry build, which is Infinity Edge, Static Shiv, Berserker Greaves, Rapid Fire Cannon, Mercurial Scimitar, and a Last Whisper item. Also make sure you sell your broken stopwatch. If you went with that, you don't want to upgrade it into a Guardian Angel. It is not really worth doing so. The other items are just much better on Tristana. And that pretty much does it for his 3 most played champions and the builds he goes with. It is a pretty simple summary. If you want to watch his replays on these champions, LOL King seems to have all the replays of his games if you just go to their replay section. Otherwise, you can try out op.gg. But anyway, I thought it would just be a cool video to make on the first person to reach Challenger. Let me know if you think I should make one for each of the big servers like Korea, EU West, and NA. By the time this video goes out, I imagine someone would have hit Challenger on those servers. Anyway, this is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If so, drop that like button. And as always, have a nice day.